Alright YouTube, welcome to another video once again with Arbiter Juvatum here. And as you notice in front of me is not a GMC 300E but a CDV 700. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the history of these guys. I'll go ahead and explain it while I'm at it, but there's a lot of other videos that explain their history. So basically, the GMC 300 or 700E, or not GMC, the CDV 700 was a Geiger counter for civil defense purposes at the time. This is a little civil defense insignia. And this little guy, or not little guy, but this guy was made for nuclear warfare. Not precisely nuclear war. We'll get into detail about that later. But this was made for detecting small amounts of radiation. So they could use this anywhere from a reactor leak to nuclear explosions of some sort. I do believe that some of these were actually used at 3 Mile Island, if any of you are familiar with that. It's an U.S. power plant that was almost diagnosed with China syndrome, which is melting down, but it never actually had a problem. I think they did shut the actual plant down, though, due to that. But anyways, back to our little Geiger counter here. Now, in this video is going to be two things. It's going to be about the Geiger counter itself, and then it's going to be kind of a modern-day life hack with it that a lot of people are really needing to know about these guys. And there's just nothing on YouTube to get the word out. So let's get down with the basic explanation of it. Okay, so on our needle here, this thing's gonna fall off the desk. We have on our needle here, we got millirankins an hour, and then we got counts per minute. Alright? Everyone knows what the counts are, those little click, 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 clicks. So we got our hundreds, 200, 300 counts, and millirems an hour. I'm not going to go into detail on how to gauge this, maybe a little bit, but not extreme, because it's a pretty confusing concept. That's a whole different ball game. But on here you got your different scales. So your times 1 is your times 1 based on that scale. That's times 100. Times 10 is times the 10 times 100, and then 100 is 100 times 100. So that was this one, and this one's this one's not Victorine. This is not an Anton. It is a Lionel Geiger counter. For those of you who don't know who Lionel Company is, they made they're the company I know familiar as for making a toy train set I used to have when I was little, and so it was a fun train set too. So they really knew what they were doing. But anyways, this Geiger counter was this counter was specifically made in 1985. It served the purpose of just a civil Geiger counter for anywhere from civilian use to first responders in an ambulance or a police station or something like that. A little fun fact about nowadays is the CDV 715 and the CDV 720 are actually still used today, and they're used by first responders today. They do have a higher calibration, but it's the same model and it's the same everything used for present-day first responders. Quite interesting. They still trust the old technology. Okay, so now let's get into the detail on this guy. I know, as soon as I turn it, you're all wondering, what the hell is this? Well, my friends, this is my little life hack I'm going to tell you about today. This is I think this is a 1/7 jack for usually a guitar amp or a guitar of some sort, and then we have our regular audio jack for a computer 3.5mm male adapter. So a lot of people, when they get their CDV 700s, come with the big giant it's a really big connector that isn't used anymore, and you're sure as hell not going to find a speaker for that. Online they do sell converters for that, but it's really expensive. And there was this one person online. If you guys want to look up the instruction video on how to, just type in CDV 700 audio jack, and it'll say how to wire, and that's just like that link for Google. But so anyways, the CDV 700 is a small dose Geiger counter. It measures large amounts, and it also does extremely small amounts, unlike the CDV 715s and 720s. Those are just for big mounts, considering they start at 100 Rankins an hour. Now, this is our Mueller tube, Geiger Mueller tube. So right now it's closed up, so the tube's protected. I'll open it up here. Now our tube's open. That's the tube itself. If you're going to get a Geiger counter, I do recommend getting replacement tubes. They're sold on eBay as well. They're very good to have in the long run, because someday this will drop and someday it will break. That is guaranteed. It's going to happen. When I got mine, it came with a little carrying strap, which is not bad at all. I wouldn't trust it unless you know how to wire this up. This has already come undone. It hasn't fallen because I was holding the other side of the strap. But be very careful when you strap these guys on, because they are very easy to slip off if you do not do it right. Okay, now let's get into depth. This is since I modified our speaker jack. I went to Walmart and bought I think this is a HMDX brand speaker. It's Bluetooth compatible, it's power compatible. It's got your volumes and your play button, but that's not really useful. Power, volume, play, 4 hours runtime, so it's not bad. And I got my giant auxiliary cord, because that's the only one I could find for now. But yep, so that works pretty well for ticks. So let's see the inside, shall we? This is the inside of the Geiger counter. So this comes with a standard box. It's basically just a steel box. And then you got your circuit diagram in there, and then this packing to keep moisture out. Let's put this over here. More about the box later. So this is our Geiger counter. Pretty mainstream technology for back in the 1980s. All resistors, integrated circuits, not integrated circuits, sorry. 2D batteries for the Lionel, which is really nice. The Victorine requires, I think it was 4D batteries. This one just takes 2. But all resistors and semiconductors in there, and a little tube in there, and those are all really easy to replace. And then you got your calibration screw right there. You got your little step-up voltage transformer. If you're going to power this on and you take it out of the box, don't touch it, because there's a lot of voltage in there. A very large amount of voltage has to go through that Mueller tube for it to actually register. It's well over 1,000, so don't touch it. Amperage is low, but it's high voltage. It's going to feel like you're getting tased. So, this is the basics of the GMC, or not GMC, CDV 700. It's pretty simple for a device that does all that this does. It's extremely simple, which is amazing. If you have a local department store that sells resistors, you can just take this in and be like, hey, look at this circuit board, or show them the circuit diagram that was in the box, which is really nice, and just boom, everything's there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to wire it up, the modern day jack. So like I said, the original jack on here was this big fat lug jack, and you're never going to find an attachment for that unless you're using actual headphones. I went ahead and installed a if this thing ever focuses in, it would be nice. I went ahead and installed a 3 conductor 1/4 jack, and the Geiger counter box itself will accept that, which is nice, so it'll fit right through that little hole. And you should have a wire going to that big jack when you get it. You'll need to cut that. I know it sounds horrible. Yes, you need to cut it. You need to cut that, and then you need to cut it long enough so it fits into your your 1/4 jack, and then that can obviously be fed through. The middle jack on this is ground, so don't hook it to the middle one. Hook it to the right one and the left one, but not the middle one. You're going to short it out. Very important. But as simple as that. Once you get, and these two things are just to hold it and ignore these. But once you get it all set up and put it in, you just screw that back in. You need to buy one of your 1/4 to 1/8 converter, and then you go ahead and plug that in, and then you can put any sort of device in here. Take note, if you're going to use a headset, the headset will work. If you're going to use a speaker that has no amplifier, like this little guy, it will not. It does need an amplifier, unless you're willing to take apart a smoke alarm, which isn't a bad idea, and use that. But you're going to have wires hanging everywhere, and it won't look nearly as professional. So that's the basics of a CDV 700. A few little notes to take, or a few little things to take into caution when you get one, is some CDV 700s will be making a humming sound, and it's a weird humming sound. And if you hook up a speaker like this, you will hear it. You'll see what happens when I turn it on. But it's a slight humming noise, and it does get quite annoying if you are using it a lot. So to solve that, I just turned down the speaker, and it's low enough to where it doesn't surprise me or anything. It's not annoying to me, and I'll show you what that does right now. And then if you need to calibrate it, I'm not too good with calibrating this right now, but they also come with a your depleted uranium check source. Well, I think this is actually radium. I heard Lionel doesn't use depleted uranium. I heard they use a radium isotope that has a somewhat of a disadvantage at a half-life of about 20 years. So, well, it's been lasting for a while, and since this is from 1985, it's obviously gone past 20 years, so I'm hoping and get some more life out of that thing. But we'll get this guy put back together. It's not. Oh, hold on. Let me. Okay. So back together, and let's give it a little quick test run. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my speaker on. I'm gonna turn it down because it's gonna be really loud, and I'll show you what that humming noise is. So that's what that humming noise is. And what that is that's actually, there's that high voltage transformer in there I was talking to you about. The wires are actually moving from the magnetic core vibrating, and that's what you're hearing in the speaker. So if yours makes that noise, just simply turn it down all the way till you can't hear anything, like this, and then turn it up once until you can barely hear it. See, now you can hear the clicks really loud. So then you take your Mueller tube, and for the hell of it, I guess I'll use Fiestaware, why not? Be kind of interesting, right? Alright. Okay, got the Fiestaware. And I'm going to put this on the 100 times scale because it requires 100 times scale, otherwise I'll max out everything. Here we go. On the side, and then here's inside the middle, and then here's on the opposite side here. And then here's our check source times 10. Put it up to our check source here. And yeah, that's basically a CDV 700 for all you guys. It's a great little thing to have around the house. It's, if you like this kind of stuff. So yep, CDV 700, guys. If you really like Geiger counters and if you feel like it's worth buying one and everything, definitely the one to get. Now, I am going to tell you, do not think you're smart and buy a CDV 700 or 715 or a CDV 720, as these are not Geiger counters. These are actually survey meters. And like I said, the survey meters have the same gauge, except for you're not gonna see a counts per minute, and you're gonna see a check circuit. The check circuit is just for circuit check. I did order a CDV 715. It will be here Friday at latest. I will do a review on that and show you guys what a survey meter is. But for now, it will only have, and it'll have Rankins an hour, not millirankins, full Rankins an hour. So if you get a Geiger counter, get a CDV 700, not a CDV 715, not a CDV 720. And basically, if it has a yellow handle and it doesn't have this, it's not a Geiger counter. So please don't make that mistake. I've seen a lot of people blow a lot of money and screw up. Make sure it has one of these Mueller tubes, please. So as for that, get yourself one of these guys. Have some fun, go around town, scan a bunch of things in stores, see people's reactions, tell them what it is, and they'll be pretty amazed. See you later.